Hello, One Piece fans. Philosophy JKD back here once again with some authentically me One Piece material. I wanted to look at the 10 One Piece main characters in the Straw Hat pirate group. But in the future, I would like to look at other characters. And so I'm going to look at these people using a couple tools today. Okay. I would like to look at them on a scale from 1 to 10. Okay. But I'd also like to look at their overarching personality. So I'd like to know how open are they, how conscientious are they, how extroverted are the character, uh, and how agreeable is the character, and the neuroticism of the character. And that's a big section, neuroticism, because that's basically how we would sum up a person when we look at them. Then I like to put them on a scale between introverted, extroverted using a color diagram. Okay, so um, let's look at openness. We basically know what openness is. How willing are you to accept a idea or thing? Okay, conscientiousness. How aware of your surroundings are you? Extroverted. How outgoing is the person? Agreeableness. How agreeable is a person? Okay, and neurotic. Basically, what's their overarching personality type when you look at them? And people are gonna have different opinions than me, okay? But people have different opinions of people in our daily lives, based on how we perceive them, okay? Um, so on the scale from 1 to 10, 1 is gonna be low as it gets, and 10 as high as it gets. When we look at the diagram, red is gonna be like a laser pointer. It's focused energy. It's let's get the task done quickly, fire. Okay, think fire. Okay. Yellow energy is another extroverted energy wherein you want to do something, but it's energy that goes all over the place. So think about sunlight, like sun god, Nika, all over the place, carefree, life of the party, social butterfly flapping his wings everywhere. Introverted energies will be cool blue. Okay. Blue, think ice, analytical, mind that seeks to problem solve directly to the point. It's an action, a very masculine energy, just like red. But rather than get something done quickly, they say, let's get something done with the least amount of energy and as efficiently as possible. Speed is not the object. Getting it done very well and with a certain level of skill and finesse. Another energy that is introverted, but also it's on the perspective. I guess you can say that the red and blue should be on top as masculine energies that are, um, let's get something done. Let's affect our environment in a focused way. Uh, the green energy, while it is a feminine energy, it is for people that are kind, caring, good listeners, emotional listeners. They have emotional. And the green and yellow will be like feminine energy. So you put them on the bottom. So you could have red, blue, green, and yellow. Okay. So I'm going to start. First person on my list, and I'm going in order from my perceived strongest Straw Hat characters to the weakest. So my first character is Monkey D. Luffy. When you look at him, when you're looking at openness, oh, so another thing, uh, openness, uh, conscientiousness, extroverted, agreeableness, and neuroticism can be summed into an acronym OCEAN, which is very interesting because a lot of the stuff in One Piece takes place on the open sea. Okay, so how open is Monkey D. Luffy on from a 1 to 10? I would say he's quite open to a lot of things, probably too much so. He probably needs to get checked. I would say in terms of openness, Luffy is like a 10. He's a 10. But in terms of his focus to his openness, he's all over the place. So I would say Luffy is a 10 in openness, but his energy is basically yellow energy when in terms of openness. He's a butterfly. He's all over the place. Um, Conscientiousness. I would say Luffy is probably in the middle because when it comes to social cues and stuff like that, Luffy is pretty aloof. He's probably like a one or two. I'm gonna say he's a two. No, he's a one. He's the worst. But when it comes to knowing who to fight, when to fight him, and how to fight him, I would say he's a 10. So I would say in terms of conscientiousness, I'd say Luffy is probably a 6. He's a 6. He's off the charts of knowing exactly who to go after, the big bad, you know. When it comes to fisticuffs, when it comes to wanting to remedy something, I would say he's a 10. He knows exactly what to do. Um, in terms of color, I would say Luffy is let's get it done. I want to become Pirate King. Um, so that'd probably be red energy when it comes to conscientiousness. He knows his overarching goal to be Pirate King. I would say if he had a secondary energy, I'd say when it comes to fighting, he's blue, cool blue. So I'd say he's red, blue. Then I'd say he's yellow because especially when he goes into Joy Boy mode, he's all over the place. You don't know it doesn't make sense anymore, you know. So I'd say Luffy is red, blue, and yellow. Um, for extrovertedness, I would say Luffy has a lot of extrovertedness at times, but at other times he's passive. So I would say in terms of extroverted energy, I would say Luffy is more on the yellow, um, but he's also in terms of red, in terms of task. So he'll let you know what his goal is. He'll talk to you about certain things, you know, if you ask him. Yeah. So I'd say he's red, yellow, and probably extroverted. It's probably blue again. I put him in that area. Agreeableness. I'd say Luffy. Well, in extrovertedness, I need to give him a number. Oh, I forgot to give him a number. I would say Luffy at an extroverted level is probably like a 7. He's a 7. You can get a lot out of Luffy just knowing what to ask him, and he probably won't get it very well. So how agreeable is Luffy? I think he's too agreeable. He's some people could be too agreeable where they could be taken advantage of. I think Luffy is right on the borderline of being uh, off the chart. So I'd say he's like a 9 in terms of agreeableness. So much so he has to be checked, just like when you look at his openness score. So I'd say Luffy's a 9 in that area. And when it comes to um, how neurotic is Luffy, I would say I would like to say he's quite neurotic. You can spot his personality from when you first meet him. He's socially aloof, but he does have overarching goal that never loses sight. But you wouldn't know it because he doesn't voice it all the time. It's just, hey, this is what I'm gonna be. I'm the future Pirate King. So I'd say that's the red energy. And then I'd say he's also blue energy, uh, calculating when it comes to combat. And then I'd also say he's yellow energy. Well, Zoro, second person. So Zoro has a task just like Luffy. I'd say he's more focused on reaching the number one spot as the number one swordsman. So that's definitely a task. Red energy. I would say he's a problem solver when it comes to combat. So I'd say blue energy. And I'd say he's probably green. That's why I look at him when I look to his neuroticism. But let's use the ocean again, okay? So in terms of openness, I'd say Zoro is not very open to a lot of things. In fact, um, I would say in terms of openness, I would say he's probably a 2. He's quite extreme. Um, in terms of conscientiousness, While he has no sense of direction, when it comes to analyzing people's personalities and the threats that they may cause, I would give him like an 8. So I'd say, um, yeah, I'd say he's like an 8. So in openness, I would give him a color of probably blue, cold blue, analytical. When it comes to conscientiousness, I would say he's focused, red energy or blue energy. He's quite conscious when it comes to the combat. When it comes to direction, he's clearly yellow energy all over the place. He doesn't know where to go. Um, Extrovertedness. I would say he is not very extroverted outside the bar room. And most people talk more at the bar, but he doesn't talk. He just wants to drink. So in that sense, you could say he's more on the introverted scale. So he's more blue energy, green energy there. Um, in fact, I would say at the bar, Zorro is probably green energy, relaxed. A listener, passively. Okay. Um, so that's extroverted. How agreeable is Zorro? I would say he's probably like a 1. He's a 1. He's not very agreeable, even with his own captain. If it goes against his primary objective, becoming the world's greatest swordsman, he's not going with it. Okay. So that's uh, so neurotic. I already kind of touched on that one. I jumped the gun. I would say he's probably red like Luffy because they both have this overarching goal, and they all have their own goal per se. But that's kind of how we associate them in terms of power scaling based on that goal. Their goals are based on power, becoming the Power King, world's strongest swordsman. That's a task. That's red energy. That's focused laser. That's fire. Um, then I would say Zoro's probably blue. I would say he's blue in terms of neurotic, in the sense that he's a problem solver. He analyzes other people. Um, he is not necessarily cool, but he is definitely calculating, meticulous in a way, in terms of analyzing why a person might want to join them. And then I'd say opposite to Luffy, who is yellow, in my three, I would say that Zoro's green energy, and he's green. So Zoro is mostly introverted when it comes to introvert extroverted, and Luffy is mostly extroverted. And they say opposites attract, but in terms of actual masculine energy, they line up very well. So opposites attract romantically, but when it comes to individuals that you do tasks with, they're typically the same energy as you. So red and blue are both for Luffy and Zoro. But when it comes to the feminine energy, one is more laid back and quiet and feeling, possibly ready to explode. And one's energy, joy boy, is all over the place. My next person is actually Jinbei. I think Jinbei is next on the power scale for me. And Jinbei, some people call him the dad of the crew, and I wouldn't doubt that one. I would say when it comes to openness, Jinbei uses his head, so he's a cool, calculating person. Uh, Very much so. So when it comes to openness, I would say he's probably a 5 when it comes to openness. Okay, he's a 5, unless it came from his captain. But that's his neurosis. That's his personality. Which would make him step into different openness based on what Luffy wanted, even if it didn't make sense. So that supersedes his openness, his neuroticism. How conscientious is Jinbei? I would say Jinbei is about a 9 when it comes to conscientiousness. He's very aware of things. He may not be like a super genius, but he's basically captain material. He's analysis. He's not analysis like Vegapunk, who probably is like a 10. Because once you go so high on that energy of analytical, you get analysis paralysis. You can't. Sometimes you can't make a move because you can't figure out what it is. You overanalyze it. How extroverted is Jinbei? We've seen a very non-extroverted Jinbei thus far. So I put him probably like a 2. I would say if he went to a party, he would be the one standing in the corner, not because he's shy. It's just that's not his energy. You got to bring it to Jinbei. He's not gonna go out looking for to be extroverted. Okay, how agreeable is Jinbei? Jinbei, when it comes to his captain, is super agreeable, but when it comes to general, before Luffy was his captain, okay, like a Fishman Island, he was willing to oppose Luffy because he had a particular way he wanted to have, you know, this coup go down at Fishman Island. So I would say outside of Luffy, he's willing to oppose anybody. So he is not very agreeable. I put him at a number one. He even went against Big Mom because he wanted to leave her and join the Straw Hats, and he was basically contracted out to Big Mom Pirates. Neurotic. How neurotic is Jinbei? I think Jinbei is very neurotic because he's like he reminds me of the Klingon from Star Trek. He's bound to honor, he's bound to strength, he's bound to integrity. He only gives his services to the best. So I'd say Jinbei's a 10 on that scale. Yeah, I say he's a 10. The colors that I think of when I look at Jinbei is cool blue analytical, task, let's get something done. I wouldn't say he's really in that spectrum. I would probably say he's green energy, especially when you look at him at Wano. Okay, when he was going against Who's Who, he built up more anger. He's emotional about stuff. So he's an introvert, the blue green introverted energy. But at the same time, he does have a focus. He does have a certain focus when it comes to his integrity. So yeah, so Jinbei is masculine energy, blue, red, but at the same time green energy. All right, moving on to the next guy. This guy, Sanji. Sanji, okay. How open is Sanji? Well, when it comes to girls, I mean, he's 10. He's off the chart, open, open. He's yellow energy. He's yellow energy, and he's a green energy ready to explode all over the place when it comes to the female characters. So he's a 10. He's that feminine energy all over. He's not cool. He's not laid back. How conscientious is Sanji? Well, interestingly enough, I say Sanji is super conscientious. Not just in terms of his observation hockey. You know, I think he's just conscious. He's a cook. He knows exactly how to do this and that and the third thing. Um, yeah, he's a conscious, focused character. He does have things that will take him away from his mission, however, and we all know what that is. So extroverted, clearly extroverted. He's he's almost a gag character in that sense that he's too extroverted when it comes to the ladies. When it comes to the men, however, he can basically give a flying fish mail. Okay, so if you look at ladies and men, I would say when it comes to ladies, Sanji's a 10, extroverted, but when it comes to men or unattractive women to him, it's like a 1. So I would give him if I could give him a if I could, I'd give him a 5.5. So I'll say that Sanji is probably a 6. Okay, because there's some guys he cares about like Luffy. Okay, so Sanji, when it comes to extroverted, his score is a 6. How agreeable is Sanji? Sanji is has shown some ability to be not agreeable. If you look at the Whole Cake Island arc, he was not agreeable, but because he wanted to, one, protect his crew, and they wouldn't have liked that, and he wouldn't even want to be with his own family, but he chose to do it for his crew. And then when it came to him finding out he was going to be marrying somebody that was attracted to him, now he became agreeable. Um, so his score on the level of agreeableness, I would say Sanji is a 7. He's more agreeable than disagreeable in that sense. I would say Sanji's more agreeable when it comes to protecting his friends, Pleasing women, that's a 10. That'd be a 10. But when it comes to other characters, what they want, if they're not ladies or not his crew, he's less than agreeable. Yeah, and wasting food. So I'd say Sanji's like a 7. I look him at as a 7. I don't know what you guys would think about that. Um, his neuroticism. How neurotic is he? Where does he fit? I would say he's quite neurotic because you can spot his personality from a mile away. Once you realize how he has a difference between males and females and how he wants to treat them, then it's quite clear. So Sanji is yellow energy. When that's what you can see that yellow energy. You can also see um, red. You can see red energy there also because he's just really focused on ladies. He would like to get a little peep, whatever. Um, so that's extroverted energy. Extroverted energy. One's female, one's masculine. And then I'd say he's also green energy. He's ready to explode all over the place. Green energy. Okay, now we've left the big four and the monster quartet. I would say because this is why I power scale him. I would say Frankie's next. So Frankie, in terms of openness, shows he's quite open. He's almost robotic in that sense. He's almost too open to, if I can build it, we can do it. Let's do it. Let's get it done fast. So he's red energy there when it comes to openness. Um, how conscientious is Frankie? I would say he's pretty conscientious. He's very conscientious. Um, Openness, I would say in terms of openness, I would say he's a hmm, openness. I would say he's a 7. I say he's a 7. When it comes to conscientiousness, I give him about a 7. He's quite conscious. He has to be when he's engineering making things. So I need to bump that number up. I'll say he's an 8. Nah, he's probably like a 9. I think when it comes to social interactions, I think he's not totally aware. I think he's actually too conscientious. He is caring. So his energy when it comes to conscientiousness I'd say he's a 9. But when it comes to a color, I'd say he's green energy, conscientious. He's listening. He's caring. He's ready to bust out. Um, Conscientious. He has to have red energy also in that area because he's a great engineer and a problem solver. So that's blue energy there. That's probably his neurotic perspective from me. But let's go to extroversion. How extroverted is Frankie? I would say he's probably more in the middle. I'd probably say he's a 5. I'd say he's a 5 when it comes to extroverted. How agreeable is Frankie? I'd probably say Frankie is quite agreeable when it comes to his crewmates. He'd probably build anybody where they want it, weapons, you name it. Hell, he built the whole ship for this crew. How erotic is he? I kind of touched on that. It's kind of hard to separate your first impressions from how you kind of break them down through the overarching 5 ocean acronym we're using. I'd say Frankie is a green, feminine energy in the sense that he's caring, emotional. He is red energy, focused, ready to explode into action and get his tasks done, but he's also problem solver. So the energies for Frankie when it comes to neuroticism, I see green, I see red, focus, and blue. So that's 1, 2, 3. Green, red, blue. Oddly enough, those are exact colors of Zoro, just in different orders. Uh, okay. Or how do you say diagonal order? Yeah. Yeah. So because Zoro will be red, blue, then green. I see Frankie as green, red, and blue. He's actually inverted. Both introverted, but both have that masculine energy all over the place. Then I would go to Brooke. Brooke, Soul King. Um, I look at Brooke as green energy in the terms that he does explode and get emotional, but at the same time he is a problem solver and a thinker. He's almost like a normal person in a way, in that sense. He's almost brings reason to getting a task done. You know, he'll play dead, he'll fight, he'll steal. he so how open is Brooke? I'd say he's probably in the middle scale. His openness doesn't really stick out. He's more passive. So I'd say he's more agreeable than not agreeable. I give him a 6. How conscientious is Brooke? Brooke is very conscientious in certain areas. Okay. On some things he doesn't care about and he has less consciousness. So I'd say Brooke, in terms of conscientiousness, is probably an 8. Uh, how extroverted is Brooke? Well, when it comes to the ladies, he's very extroverted, but at the same time, he doesn't have he doesn't go to the extreme where he doesn't care about the male characters in One Piece like Sanji does. So when it comes to extrovertedness, I look at Brooke probably as a he's very outgoing. I say he's a 10. That's probably why he's a good magician. You know, he's a Soul King. How agreeable is Brooke? I think he's very agreeable. He's one of the newer members. I think his perspective is to care a lot about the One Piece pirates because they basically brought his soul back. I think he's been very agreeable so thus far on the series. He has not disagreed with anybody really, other than with Momonosuke getting hugs from Nami and Robin. He didn't like that because overarchingly he likes the ladies. Okay, neurotic. Where do I see him? I see him as green energy. I see him as green energy. At the same time, I see him as yellow energy as an entertainer in terms of the ladies. So the feminine energies, and I also see red with him because he does always want to see somebody's panties. So I would say Brooke is green, yellow, red. Okay, now we're getting into some of the lady characters. I would say Nami because in her power scaling, she has Zeus and she can go invisible, which could be a very bad matchup for Robin. That's why she edges her out. Okay, so Nami, she wants to be the world's best navigator, make a map of the whole world, the whole oceans. So that's a focus energy. But she's a problem solver in the sense that she can discern weather and danger. Those are very masculine qualities. So she's a problem solver. She's just let's get it done at any cost. Let's get this money. Let's uh let's become a great navigator. Let's get a map of the world. Let's get the money. Um, she's a calculating person who's willing to lie, cheat, still to get what she's after, even still. That was a very interesting. And she is willing to hit throw on in her calculatedness and ambition. She has yellow energy. She's a charmer. She'll pretend. I ain't saying she's a gold digger, but that I say she's probably more blue first than red than yellow. That's her personality. Well, I jumped the gun on that. Say that. See, tell. No, how open is Nami? I would say she's not very open. I would say she's pretty strong-headed. So in terms of openness, she gets a score of about a 2. Conscientiousness, she's very conscious. She's very conscious of what's going on around her. I give her a perfect 10. Okay, perfect 10. um, how extroverted is Nami? Well, she can be very extroverted. I would give her about a 9 because she's willing to use that extroverted to meet the needs that she wants. Even the charmer, try to charm her own crewmates. So you know what? She's a 10 on that. She's a 10. Well, she's jumping 1 to 10 to 10. How agreeable is she? Well, she's not very open to things that she doesn't want to do unless it's a manipulation. So I would say she's not open. She pretends to be open. How agreeable? she can pretend to be agreeable, but she won't compromise the main objective of her captain becoming the Pirate Queen. So I think that she's not very agreeable because she's phony. She's willing to be phony. So I give her, in the terms of agreeableness, I probably say she's like a 3. And I already touched on her personality in neuroticism. Um, yeah, she's red, blue, or probably blue red. Probably more blue. She's a cunning, calculated one to get accomplish her goal, but she does have a certain level of focus when it comes to money. Yeah, so she has a focus there also. And she is yellow energy, but it's all a manipulation. It's a mostly manipulation from her. Okay, so next one on the list is Robin. I say Robin is an interesting one because sometimes more is less. Now we all know she was an archaeologist. Yes, is even, but she doesn't speak much, but she really doesn't have to. She's clearly analyzing. Okay, but I think she leads off with green energy in terms of personality. So let's just focus on the tools for first. How open is Robin? I think Robin is very genuine, but she's really caring. So she's very open to try things in a honorable in a non-sacrificing her character way. So when it comes to openness, Nami's a 10. When it comes to conscientiousness, I'm saying Robin's a 10, just like Nami. When it comes to conscientiousness, I would say, I'm sorry. Nami, when it comes to openness, is a 1. Robin is the exact opposite. She's very open. She's a 10. When it comes to conscientiousness, just like Nami, I would say Robin's a 10. Intelligent people tend to talk slower and less. I say that's right up her alley. How extroverted is Robin? Well, she uses the glasses, which also could be a sign for somebody who's actually an introvert and shy. And I could just mask her inner dialogue. So I would say, in terms of extrovertedness, she's probably the opposite of Nami. She's not very extroverted. Her personality doesn't tend to that, from what I can see. So, in terms of extrovertedness, I would say she's more introverted. So, she's probably like a 2. Only person she ever shown any interest in was Shifori Law, because he was interested in the poneglyphs. She probably could read that from all of her inner dialogue of figuring things out and people out around her. How agreeable is Robin? Well, she's shown to be very agreeable also. So she's open and agreeable. She's basically waifu material. If you don't want to get your money stolen, that's the one you want. Not Nami. Nami's gonna take it and run. Robin's sticking with you. Not Robin's the mother. She will be like the mother of the crew, but not in an overbearing mother way. More like a Mother Teresa type of way. And I already talked about her personality. I think she leads off with a cold blue analysis, but she also has an emotionality or care for other people, which is like a listener. And she holds her own emotions in, so she's green energy there. And I would say she's also red energy. Um, she's red energy in terms of she's always trying to meet the goal of getting those poneglyphs, rubbings, and finding out more about the voice entry. So she is blue, green, red. Um, Nami starts out. You know what? I would say she's green, blue, red, and I would say Nami was blue, um, red, and yellow. So when it comes to um, introvertedness, they're actually both introverts. Nami just masquerades as an extrovert to manipulate people because she really cares about her own ambition. She doesn't really care other than it comes to kids. That's her soft spot. Robin's soft spot are the poneglyphs in that void century. So they're opposites in the way that they're introverts. Okay. But when it comes to how they're extroverted in different ways. One puts on a facade, yellow energy all over the place. Another one is laser point focused. So much so that that looks to be her true ambition. Why she's probably disappearing so much in the manga. Okay. Okay. So my second weakest person is Usopp. Usopp. Wow. Well, he's clearly not the strongest guy. How open is Usopp? I would say Usopp is a doubter on everything, other than the fact that he wants to capitalize on other people. So I'd say Usopp probably is an openness. I would say Usopp is probably it's probably like a three. He's a three. He's not very open, especially at the jeopardize himself. How conscious is he? He's quite conscious. You know, I'd say he's like a nine. He's always thinking about how things can go bad or how he can get out of things. He's very conscious of situations. I'd say he's like a nine. He's a nine. Yeah. Extroverted. How extroverted is Usopp? He's very extroverted. He likes the ladies. He wants to entertain. He likes to tell stories. He's a storyteller. I say in terms of extroversion, how extroverted he is, Usopp's a 10. How agreeable is he? Um, if you threaten him, he'll be very agreeable. So, but other than that, I say he's a five. I'll give him a five in terms of agreeableness. Yeah, he's not gonna disobey his captain, but he's agreeable, or will pretend to be agreeable, which is deception. Neurotic. What's his personality type like? Well, he's clearly not brave, so he's very emotional. So I'd say he is green energy, but he is also focused on saving his life. That's his first goal. So I would say he's red energy, but then you jump down to green energy when it comes to his emotionality and desire to not be strong and just survive. And he'll find a way to do that anyway. So I'd say he has blue energy. So I'd say he's red for safety, green because he's a coward, and blue. So red, green, and blue. And lastly, Chopper. I say Chopper is task oriented, but at the same time, he is green energy in that he can be charmed or by anything. You compliment him, he comes into a social butterfly and it becomes green energy embarrassed. He's an easy one. So how open is Chopper? Well, he won't compromise his task of attacking viruses. He has to defeat each and every one. So that's red energy. But at the same time, openness to compromising that, he's not very open to compromising that goal. So I would say Chopper, in terms of agreeableness, is probably like a one or a two. I'd say he's a two. Um, Conscientiousness. Chopper is quite conscious of what's going on. So in terms of conscientiousness, I put him high on the scale, like a nine. In terms of extrovertedness, I would say Chopper is not very extroverted and is actually quite bashful. So I'd say he has low extroversion. He's probably on the level of a two. How agreeable is Chopper? Very agreeable when it comes to certain things. He's like a follow along. He's almost like a pet type character. So I'd say in terms of agreeableness, I'd say Chopper's probably a eight, very high on that scale. And what type of energy do they lead with? What are their neuroticism? What does it look like? Uh, he's he's green energy in the sense that he's emotional, but he's not trying to be emotional all the time. But he's also, when it comes to his doctor's perspective, he's let's get it done very well. So he's a problem solver. So that's blue energy. So we're going from green to blue. And when it comes to getting things done and compromising, I would say he is yellow energy, not red. He's yellow because he wants to help everybody. Speed, even though speed can matter, he wants to help everybody. It doesn't matter, friend or enemy. So there you go, guys. Those are the 10 Straw Hat Captains. I'd like to probably sum them up with an alliterative adjective. So when I look at them, what comes to mind? Um, for Luffy, laughing Luffy. So laughing Luffy, that's what I say when you look at Luffy. When it comes to Zoro, I would say Zizing Zoro, or yeah, Zizing or Roronoa Zoro. I would say relax Zoro. Sanji, salacious. When it comes to Jinbei, I would say uh, just. Um, yeah, Frankie, I would say he is frenzy Frankie. Uh, when it comes to mm, Brooke, I would say he is um, bodacious, bodacious Brooke. When it comes to Nami, I would say nagging Nami. When it comes to Robin, I would say she is righteous Robin. And when it comes to Usopp, I would say he's opportunist. Comes to mind for him. And for Chopper, I would say he is uh, curious Chopper. There we go. All right, guys, it's been a blast. If you made it to the end, uh, please hit the like button because it fills the algorithm, and subscribe. So until next time, guys, Philosophy signing out.